Today I'm going to change your life forever by talking about why we all get addicted to just about anything so easily, and the secret behind the latest research into why we do the totally counterproductive stuff that we so often do. So welcome to another Human Nature Simplified video. I'm your old fart host, Kevin J. Leonard, and I am a perpetual student of human nature, and that qualifies me to bring you some insights into what pushes us so hard to do the stuff that's confusing as hell, like obsessing over members of the opposite sex, blowing money on crap we don't need, and a lot more. What I have to say isn't for everyone. A lot of young people just like you won't like it, or you won't be able to get a grip on it. Curiosity, however, is a marker for high intelligence, so let's find out if you're the curious type. Here's one of my many caveman stories to set the scene. I call this one, Honey. Son of best arrow maker stirred on his bed of insect-repelling leaves near the cave entrance. It wasn't all that comfortable, but it was better than the mosquitoes and gnats crawling all over him. He heard something outside and his head jerked up. Was it a predator? No. It was the song of that bird that returns to the tribe's territory in late spring. That sound stirred something in his brain, a craving, a desire for something sweet, a taste of honey. When that bird returned every year, it also signaled that the honeybees would have woken up from their winter slumber and started to produce honey again. The tribe had reminisced often through the long cold winter about honey and the return of the warmer months. Son of best arrow maker sat up and nudged son of slaughterer of bison, and when the other man's head rose, he made the sign for honey at him. Silently, son of slaughterer of bison got up, didn't want to disturb the rest of the tribe, and gathered some long straight sticks from the firewood pile, picked up a pouch made of the tanned stomach of a bison, and pulled a big smoldering branch from the fire and nodded. Off they went in search of honey for the tribe, no matter that it would come at the cost of multiple stings and possible death. At least the smoking branch would help to reduce the risk of stings, but not of falling off of a tall tree or off of a cliff face. So, what is driving these cavemen to risk their lives to get honey? Yes, it's the carbohydrates that we all crave, the little burst of dopamine out of our brain's reward center that we get from putting sweet-tasting material into our mouths. But in 2020, we now know that what is really driving this addictive behavior isn't the craving for sweets. It is the anticipation of getting that brain reward that we are looking forward to. It's that anticipation that keeps us obsessing. It turns out that we keep drinking more and more alcohol through an evening not to get drunk exactly, but rather because our brains crave each incremental increase in inebriation that comes with downing another drink. Alcoholics have one more drink before bedtime, not because they need to be drunk to fall asleep. They do it because their brain cannot resist the push to swallow a bit more of that intoxicating substance before their passing out puts an end to that wonderfully brain-rewarding cycle of drinking each new drink. All of this same stuff applies to weed, with the addition of another strong addiction in humans, being a member of a tribe that engages in special rituals unique to that human group. In young humans, this drive far outweighs the addiction of substances. The drive to be a member of a social group is what drives tattooing, drinking, smoking, buying motorcycles and cars with those cool plastic parts attached all over them, wearing the same running shoes as the rest of the group, etc. In young women, it drives nonstop texting, selfie taking and posting, plastic surgery, throwaway fashion, makeup video watching, etc. The need to have a well-identified group of same-age peers around us is vitally important to our survival in a world filled not with predators, but with groups of similar but other competing tribal groups. And of course, I'm talking about our entire evolution, 7 million years, versus the last 7,000 years, which is 0.01% of our entire human existence. We are built for the 7 million years. We're not built for what I call our new normal, the last very short period of time of human civilization. Once humans figured out cooperation, in-group cooperation, our biggest threat was no longer predators. It was other tribes that would sneak up and massacre all the men in our tribe and take the women and the children for their own. Another thing that researchers now know is that only about 15% of rats and humans are susceptible to alcohol addiction. While that makes sense based upon the fact that we can see that not everyone that we know becomes an alcoholic, what we also know is that the addiction wiring is in all of our brains. It is a product of human evolution, and everyone can get addicted to just about any behavior that we can repeat at relatively low costs and provides us with a little burst of dopamine every time we do it. And it's not just dopamine, there's a ton of other chemicals that reward chemicals in our brains. It is not the buying of new crap that we don't need that actually gives us the thrill. The real thrill comes from obsessing nonstop about repeating that bad behavior. One of the biggest insights that I've had recently is that some people are addicted to their own thoughts. Giving in to impulsive thoughts, like many obsessive compulsive people do, provides them with a little burst of dopamine and other brain reward chemicals every time they do whatever their brain has impulsively come up with. But obsessive compulsive people will do things like locking a door 6 times in a row, or stopping whatever they're doing to rearrange everything in a drawer so it all lines up exactly straight. These are not behaviors that actually lead to any kind of real improvement in their lives. In fact, they've probably walked away from something they should have been concentrating on, but their brain goes, bloop, good for you, buddy. You just did whatever I came up with, and here's a little dopamine for you. So knowing this stuff about addiction can help identify in yourself the desire to repeat self-destructive behaviors endlessly. It's the reason that addicts tend to seek out and then hang out with other addicts. The key to breaking out of an addiction is changing your social scene. Happy rats that are exercising together quit their addictions. Miserable, isolated rats living in nasty conditions stay addicted. Addiction is an accident of our evolution. There was no honey to be had most of the year. There was no alcohol outside of the late summer season of fruit being abundant. Narcotic substances were available to dry out and use through other seasons, but taking too much made the entire tribe go hungry and defenseless against predators and other tribes. In fact, it might have been narcotics that created the very first social behavioral rules of any tribe, with the group agreeing that too much of anything is not great for the tribe's survival. For 7 million years of our evolution, doing this shit that is so addictive for us today was just simple bonding activity that pulled the tribe together, and the repetition of those social rituals kept us together. So good for you for thinking about addiction and the counterproductive things that we all do. A lot of what Jordan Peterson talks about is what I'm saying too. Remember that the biggest trigger to getting sucked back into any addiction is being around other people taking the substance. This is not because they're being high or their act of inhaling weed or drinking triggers you, but because being a welcomed and accepted fellow practicer of that group's religious rituals, which are accepted unconditionally as normal and right by that group, makes you feel like a legitimate member. It makes you feel secure, it makes you feel cared for, it offers companionship and acceptance. Those are very tough feelings to say no to. And it is the anticipation of feeling all those addictive emotional reactions, plus the added layer of drug-induced getting high again anticipation that drags you back in. The best way out is changing your social group and fighting your way out of the really shitty circumstances that make you miserable. Thanks for tuning in, and if I made you think just a little bit differently than you did before watching this video, hit subscribe, ding the bell, comment and share so that I can crawl out of YouTube's obscurity and into the light.